Welcome to the Tiny House Ideas podcast. Welcome to episode 8 of the Tiny House Ideas podcast. Today I'm joined by Joel and Rachel. Joel and Rachel live in a bus in a Skoolie conversion with their cat Monte. So I featured Joel and Rachel on Tiny House Ideas on Instagram a few months ago, and it really stuck out to me that they made space for a coffee section in their Skoolie. So I really wanted to sort of learn more about them, hear about their background, and discuss more about how they ended up living tiny. So this episode has got an emphasis on sustainability, on off-grid living, and if you're interested in hearing more, then stay tuned. Welcome to the Tiny House Ideas podcast, the show where we talk about how to live a more fulfilling life with less. My name's Harry Alvarez-Garman, and I've got tons of exciting guests lined up for you, including authors, entrepreneurs, and tiny house owners. If you love minimalism, sustainable living, personal development, and everything in between, then you're in the right place. On this show, we'll be talking about how you can do more of what you love, how to turn your passion into a career, and how to live more sustainably.
All right, so my name's Joel, this is Rachel. Our social medias are Binks Tube, and we live in a tiny home / Skoolie that we bought. It was originally converted on HGTV, but then we bought it off the original builders and kind of renovated the inside, and it's been great. We've been in it about
13 months
13 months, so it's been fun.
Oh, we have to introduce.
Brilliant. Oh yeah, and our fur baby here.
This is Monte.
Oh.
Playful mood right now. But,
I love it. Oh, brilliant.
Yeah.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you guys on the Tiny House Ideas podcast. Great to speak to you. So you say it's been 13 months now you've been living tiny?
Yep, 13 months.
How have you found it? Is there anything, have you sort of acclimatized to it well? Have you ever lived tiny before, or?
Before we bought the tiny home, we decided to test out our tiny living in an RV. So we rented out this RV on St. Pete Beach, and
Like 6 months.
for 6 months, and then we found the bus and just kind of hopped from the RV into the bus. So
Amazing.
it was definitely a difficult move because we hadn't downsized fully yet, and there was no storage in this bus when we first bought it. So there was just stacks of boxes.
It was
And
bad.
as I was building storage cabinets and things like that, we're slowly unpacking our boxes and stuff, and also figuring
as you do it.
so.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So how did you find it, sort of getting, minimizing your possessions and sort of finding out what you needed to keep? How did you find that?
Yeah, well, when we were in the RV, we rented out a self-storage unit and then kind of stored what we didn't think we needed in there. And then as we were like, oh, we really need that piece, then we'd go back, grab it. And that kind of helped us really decide what we do need and what we don't. And so then eventually we sat there for, probably shouldn't have been there a whole year, but about just
It was there
a few months ago, we were like, let's just go empty that thing out. And we just sold it all at a yard sale. And
well,
it wasn't
the thing.
just, I feel like it was an easy way to go about it. So
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not
exactly.
I mean, it's too much clutter. I'm like,
I'm more of the sentimental and she's more of the let's just get rid of it. So
Yeah. No, that's similar to me. I like the idea that you kept it in a storage unit just to see if you'd need it in the future, because there's obviously some people say there's that rule, if you haven't used it in 6 months and you won't use it in the next 6 months, then so obviously that's worked out well for you guys to sort of get used to it without fully throwing everything away and then regretting it down the line, which is a great idea actually.
Yeah, that was how we got it.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. And you also mentioned off-grid just a second ago. Is that something that was really important to you guys before you sort of took the leap to go tiny?
Yep, it's important. It wasn't off-grid when we bought it. We still got to install water tanks because it just had RV hookups installed. But we just got everything to install solar, and just a few little things we got to fix up, and then solar will be fully functionable. So
but the panels are up and the batteries are in.
panels up, batteries in. Got to switch from offshore to
Off-grid.
or off-grid to between the RV hookup and the solar. Install that. We're good to go. So
amazing. Yeah, that's the thing. It's sort of always a project, isn't it? There's always something else that you want to add or change and everything. I can imagine that's sort of been what you guys have found as well. There's always think about the next thing to do to it. It's always ongoing.
I have a long list.
I remember when I did the blog post and shared your bus on my Instagram, I think it was about a month or 6 weeks ago, and you said the next thing on the list was sort of looking at rearranging the bedroom space, moving that around to get some more floor space. How has that gone? Have you done that, or is that still on the list? Or
we're actually in the middle of it right now.
Are you?
We flipped the bed sideways,
and
so
put a different window It's not so long. It's this way instead of this way now.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
A nice long window you can open up, which is cool, right by the bed. And we originally weren't going to do this, but now Rachel wants a clawfoot bathtub.
There's space now. Bed around.
So we're going to extend the bathroom all the way to the side of the bed, and then put a clawfoot tub in there. And then also use that bathroom wall as a ladder to go up through our skylight hatch. So that's our current plan. And it still leaves the bedroom, because the whole other side of the bedroom, you still got all that open space now. So we definitely like the change, but we're kind of in the middle of it now.
Yeah, exactly. God, it sounds amazing. I mean, literally looking at that on paper, or for people that are listening to sort of hear that in an old school bus, you've got you're looking at having a bathtub, you've got the full bed, and also the coffee area as well is something that's just completely new, which is amazing.
Yeah. Oh yeah, love it.
We were talking about Tiny. That was one of his musts. Like, I want a coffee bar. I was like, we can make that happen.
Yeah, I love coffee.
You and me, yeah, definitely. I can see that behind you, and as well, also what we can do is put some pictures up on the screen for those that are watching on Instagram or YouTube, just some pictures around, like we're talking about the bedroom and about the bus and the exterior and things like that. And then another thing I wanted to touch on as well, you said you were looking at putting a ladder to go up through the roof hatch. You sort of looking at having like an outdoor space on the top, or?
Yep, we're going to put a deck once we test out and see how our solar does. And see if I need more solar panels.
We have 2 AC units.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So I'm going to test that out and see how they do. If they do well, then I'm going to fill in the rest of the roof with a deck. So.
Yeah. Oh, that'll be amazing. I bet there'll be some really nice views up there and everything.
Oh yeah, we're going to try and install some hammock stands you can put up and stuff. So we're excited about that.
That would be great. That'd be amazing. So sort of, what was it then that initially sparked your interest and sort of made you decide to want to go tiny and to live in the bus? What was sort of was there any hints earlier on in your life, or?
Well, I would say it was just living paycheck to paycheck. I was serving at the time at Texas Roadhouse, and it was like we would barely get by this week, and I would have to go like so far out of my way to like unhealthy levels, pick up shifts, work all 7 days a week, and just go out of my way just to get by. And we were like, that's not what we want to do. This 9 to 5 lifestyle, there's got to be more than this, And so we started looking into it, and we started getting into tiny house living just because it's cheaper. But also
people are living more free. They're going to these beautiful places. You're like, I want to do that. Yeah.
So that's when we decided we wanted to switch all of our income to online, and in the process of doing that, find a tiny home. So that's kind of what sparked that interest, and just find freedom, really. So
exactly. Yeah.
We want to be able to spend more together instead of just working. So
exactly. Yeah. Sort of rather than working sort of 40, 50, 60 hours a week just to have a paycheck to then survive for the next week and then look forward to a retirement. It's sort of, now it's making so much more sense for people to look at living their lives now. I mean, it makes perfect sense. You said the plan was to sort of head out west. Have you got any ideas, any destinations you're going to go? You said to go to the parents and to go to the AC place as well. But are you sort of looking at a big road trip, or are you looking at sort of settling down somewhere in the bus, or?
Mainly just
road trip.
Just road trip,
Amazing.
Docking, stop wherever we want to stop at. Mainly want to start kind of like in Arizona, just work our way up the West Coast.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, that'd be brilliant.
Yeah. We've never been out there.
Amazing.
Visit.
It'd be great to sort of, you can sort of travel for the first time as well and sort of get used to the bus and all of that sort of stuff. It'll be great.
Yeah.
So I was going to ask as well, what sort of have you seen to be the biggest benefits for you, the sort of lifestyle change, obviously going from working longer hours to working for yourselves? What have been like the main positives for you guys?
I would say time. Just having so much more time, so much less stress, not having to worry about how to get through this week. Which when you got more time, you get more experiences together, and
you feel better because you're not feeling so much stress.
You're not dealing so much stress, which that's a whole other thing. The level of stress I was dealing with led into, health issues. And so just, not having health issues has been amazing. It's just so much better in every way.
No, exactly. I mean, it's priceless.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, we really would have been like super stressed with COVID if we would have been in our old apartments that we, our
true.
bath, and it's just so much easier to make what you have to make to get by when you're living tiny.
Yeah, no, exactly. No, that's it's sort of obviously there's never a good time for anything like this, but I mean it's good that you guys were sort of in the bus when everything happened. It sort of sounds like it's been a lot easier to navigate.
It really has.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
It's been a huge.
And that's the thing that you were sort of saying about time being the biggest advantage. I mean, that's something that so many people are now beginning to realize and to see more, is that it's not sort of necessarily money or working long hours and retiring that people are looking for. It's time is the biggest freedom, because obviously life's so short and you sort of need to make most of everything now and sort of go and travel and explore and do all of these amazing things you're doing, which will be great for you.
You're right. Yeah, that's definitely kind of cool.
Yeah,
retire
definitely. I agree. What would you guys say to sort of anyone that's umming and ahhing, that's debating whether or not they should go tiny, whether they should buy a bus or a van? What would you say to them?
Just don't be intimidated. Like, it can seem like a big thing to do, but it's just a fun journey. Like, you're gonna figure it out as you go. The key is just going and just do it.
You got YouTube, you can do it.
Yeah, there's so many resources today. Like, whatever bumps you run into, you can figure it out. And so just do it.
Yeah. So obviously, when you guys are off grid and you're sort of traveling around the West and the country, what would you say would be the dream place that you wake up in the morning? Sort of open the doors, open the windows. What would you be looking at?
So many different things are going to now.
I mean, probably the one that I think of the most is I think it's Highway 1 in California. It just runs along the West Coast in California, and you can pretty much park alongside the road. So it's literally like you're driving and you just pull over and just go to bed, wake up, and there's the beach right there, and the beautiful scenery. So that's kind of like, I think, what I think of the most. But, out in the Arizona desert, Colorado mountains, I mean, all the places we think of often, but probably that one the most. We love the beach, so.
Yeah. That's amazing.
To listen to the full episode of the Tiny House Ideas podcast, head to your favourite podcast streaming platform. It's available on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, on Google Podcasts. And alternatively, if you'd rather watch the full episode as a video, so the full conversation in a video format, that's only available on Patreon.